Well, thanks for this opportunity. I'm really excited to talk about our upcoming June election because there's been some big changes to this election that we wanted to discuss and make sure that voters across Missoula were aware of. So I think that there's, a couple of big areas. It's what are the changes to our June election? How do primaries work? And what's going to be unique about this one in our current state? And so with COVID-19 in our current state, the governor passed a directive which allowed counties to select an all-mail ballot for the upcoming June election. And all 56 counties across the state have opted to have an all-mail ballot election for June 2nd's primary election. So what that means is that tomorrow across the state, ballots are going out to voters. And in Missoula County, we're going to mail out ballots to over 70,000 voters to help make sure that they get those ballots in the mail and can vote them for the primary election. The governor's directive also had prepaid postage applied to these ballots. And that's unique because in addition to being the first primary election that's held all mail, this is the first time that voters have had their postage directly applied to the envelope and paid for in Missoula County. When they get those ballots, they can select their party ballot, vote it, and return it right away. Also, one of the other areas, because of COVID-19 and this, we get a lot of voters who say, I really brought you my ballot today to help make sure that I could get my I voted sticker. So it took a little bit of extra work and coordination, but we went through all of our ballots and added in an I voted sticker. We're hoping that this is a great incentive to people to mail those ballots in to help make sure that there's as little contact as possible to keep everybody safe and healthy. And I voted stickers may be that push over the edge that voters say, hey, there was no longer a presidential race, but I wanted to vote this ballot and turn it in so I could support the elections. So we're excited about those different opportunities. In an all-mail election, ballots are due by 8 p.m. on election day. So we'll need to get all of our ballots back by 8 p.m. on June 2nd. Postmarks don't apply for ballots. A couple of the other areas that are really worth hitting are that this is a primary election. And in Montana, we run open primaries. What that means is that we don't track your party affiliation. When we have voters who come from other states, they're always very excited to come and register, and they say, and I'm going to register for this party. And we tell them we don't track that in Montana. We have an open primary, and you're going to get every ballot you're eligible for, and then you're going to return just the ballot that you voted. So you'll get to make that selection, and it's an added level of secrecy for those voters. So voters throughout Missoula are going to see either 3 or 4 party ballots, depending on where they live. And that's another first for this election, is that we have a Republican Party ballot, a Green Party ballot, and a Democratic Party ballot. But voters in Senate District 45 specifically will also get a Libertarian Party ballot to choose from. We received a directive from the Secretary of State that said that because there were 2 candidates who filed for Senate District for the Libertarian Party in Senate District 45, they're getting a unique ballot for that Senate district. It's going to contain only the Senate District 45 candidates, our local county races, which is Clerk of Court and County Commissioner, as well as our nonpartisan races, which are our judges, and our local ballot issue, but it won't include our federal or other statewide races, such as the president or the attorney general or the secretary of state. So some of those races won't be on there, and we wanted to let voters know that that was on purpose due to the directive from the Secretary of State. They can still pick whichever party ballot they want to vote out of those 3 or 4 and return just that one voted ballot in the secrecy envelope. This year, there no longer is a requirement to send back the unvoted party ballot. So if you choose to vote just that one party ballot, the other 2 or 3 ballots can be destroyed by those voters. And this is different because what we were seeing in the past was an envelope to return those in, and that's no longer a requirement for voters. So the last issue that's really important about this upcoming primary election is that since this is an all-mail election, across the state, polling places are going to be closed. So if you go to your local school gymnasium to vote on election day, for this election, that service is not going to be available. Every ballot is going to come via the mail. So the only place you'll be able to get an additional ballot is the elections office. You can get them here from 8 to 5 on weekdays before the election, and on election day we'll still have same-day registration, but following the governor's directive, we're going to be practicing social distancing. So we're going to have our building set up to maintain that 6-foot distance between voters and workers and other voters in the building, and we'll have a limited capacity. What that means is that we're going to be making sure that we are helping maintain that distance. We're also going to be cleaning off all of the areas between voters to help keep people safe on election day, and that's going to equate to a longer wait time. So we are encouraging voters to check myvoterpagemt.com. They'll be able to see that they're an active voter, that they're going to get a ballot and where their ballot's been mailed, not to wait to return that ballot through the mail, allowing extra time for it to come through USPS, because USPS may be a little delayed with COVID-19 as well, and they can check to make sure it's been received. If a voter does need to come on election day, we will serve all of our voters, but there is going to be a longer than normal wait time. So any voter in line by 8 p.m. will be served, but they can expect a little bit longer than normal wait time due to our staffing requirements and our cleaning needs for that building. So the biggest area for this upcoming election is that with our ballots mailing out tomorrow, voters should receive them by the beginning of next week. Every eligible voter is getting a ballot in the mail. So if you haven't seen one, you should go online, check myvoterpagemt.com, and you're going to want to see that you are registered, that you are active, and where that ballot went. Ballots are not forwardable. So if you have moved and did not update your voter registration, it may reflect your old address, and you'll know that you won't be receiving that ballot because the post office can't send it to your new address. When you check online there, that'll make sure that you are getting your ballot for this election, and it can direct you to how to contact our office. You can call our office at 258-4751, and we can help you check this information as well to make sure that you get a ballot. And we have extended time for you to register via the mail, receive that ballot via the mail, and vote it via the mail to make sure that we're minimizing the amount of contact we have between election workers, voters, and contact amongst the public to help prevent the spread of COVID-19. The last area that I really want to flag for voters is that on election day only, we're going to have drive-through drop-off locations to make sure that voters have an opportunity to be able to drop off their ballot. If it's getting close to election day and they're concerned that it may not make it, we'll have open-air drive-through ballot drop-off locations, and they're going to be at the Missoula County Fairgrounds, Frenchtown Fire Station, Bonner Elementary School, Seeley Lake Elementary School, and Lolo Elementary School. This will provide voters an opportunity to drop off their ballot in person if they feel like it's too close to mail those, and it'll be an open air space where it can help keep voters in their cars driving through and limiting this contact, keeping it safer for election workers and voters. There will not be drive-through drop-off at the election center on election day. That will just be a place for people to come who need to get a ballot replaced or register and vote their ballot on election day. That's about all I've got for very specific info on this upcoming election. But if you guys had any questions, I'd love to help answer those for you right now.
I just have one quick question, Bradley. Again, this is Angela Marshall with ABC Fox Montana, and I was hoping that maybe we could get a quick soundbite from you that really reflects what the purpose of the governor's directive and how county elections offices are following suit in making this an all-mail ballot. Something along the lines of, you know, we're trying to keep our staff safe, we're trying to keep voters safe, you know, something along those lines that really highlights the importance of why this is one of the states, or is the state's first all mail-in ballot election.
Absolutely. This is not anything that we election workers across the state or nation really had planned. And so if there's one thing I was going to say is we're all in this together. The idea behind holding this all mail is to help keep your friends, families, neighbors, voters, and election workers all safe and healthy. We want to make sure that we provide everybody a great opportunity to cast a ballot in this upcoming election in a way that can keep everybody safe and healthy and help make sure that we're not increasing the spread of COVID-19 around areas of higher congregation on election day. Part of this is changing these deadlines to help make sure that we can register voters through the mail ahead of the election. Instead of 30 days, it was moved to 7 days before the election so that we can process more applications in the mail out more ballots, and limit that person-to-person contact.
Perfect. That was all that I needed.
Any other questions?
I'm good.
Well, thank you guys very much. I appreciate you guys calling in.